Hi, everybody. My name is Diane, and today I will be talking about how you can make the jump into product. And more specifically, my goal today is that you can walk away understanding what steps can you take in order to transition into product management at your current company. So again, I'm Diane Wong. I'm currently at Crunchbase, and I am formerly a product manager at Zillow Group and a small startup called Zozy. So a little bit more about me before we jump into the different steps you can take to transition into product. On the career side, I started off in project management and account management. And I transitioned into product from being an account manager over 4 years ago at a small startup called Zozy. I continued with product management at Zillow Group, where I worked on our premier agent mobile app. And that was essentially a CRM for real estate agents. And now I am currently working at Crunchbase as a senior product manager, where I PM one of our core user experience products and teams. On the fun side, just so you can get to know me a little bit more, I am currently trying to learn how to become a better golfer. This is definitely a sport that requires a lot of patience, so it's been fun trying to just become better over the past few months. And I also really like planning events and putting together travel itineraries. So you'll see this theme kind of go throughout this presentation as we talk about these different steps. So now that you know a little bit more about me, let's dive right into the content of this presentation. So transitioning at your current company is a great way to get into product. And I highly recommend it, especially if you have good existing relationships at your current company. I think one of the great benefits to this is that you're able to leverage existing knowledge about the company, the product, the team, in order to get started off on the right foot. And I've created a step-by-step guide into how you can do this yourself. So these 3 steps include setting your destination, creating your itinerary, and then packing your bags. And we'll go a little bit more into what do all of these steps really mean. So first off, let's set your destination. And what I mean by this is, how do you know if product management is right for you? And on the left-hand side, this diagram might look familiar. So you may have seen this in different blog posts or articles about product management and what it is. And one thing I wanted to call out before we kind of dig into these steps is that even if your current role doesn't fall into the user experience or the technology or the business side of things, so let's say you're in human resources or on the finance team, I'm still 100% certain that you will have skills that can be applied to the product role, and you can successfully make that transition or that jump. So let's say you're interested in product, but you still want to answer that question, whether product management is right for you. I typically like to apply kind of 3 different steps when I have to answer questions like this. And that includes studying, listening, and then joining. So for studying, that's studying the role to see if it's something that you would be interested in. Listening by interviewing maybe other colleagues or other PMs at your company. And then joining. So going and attending meetups and webinars so that you can have that broader understanding of what product really is. So for some more details about each of these, on the study side, some of the things that you can do at your current company in order to answer whether or not product is right for you is to review your company's product roadmap. So take a look at what's upcoming for your company and your product. And are there things that you're excited about that your company is going to be working on? Are there features and enhancements that you're interested in kind of digging in and being a part of? You can also read through any of your company's product requirement documents. So these are typically documents that PMs will put together as they kind of kick off a new project or a new product. So read through them, note down questions, note down things that you're interested in or want to learn more about. And finally, for studying, you can review maybe existing user research or support calls so that you have that better understanding of what are some of the pain points about your product or things that customers really like. Next is listen. So since you are at that current company now, you have a great opportunity in that these are your coworkers. So take advantage of that by scheduling coffee chats or informal interviews to talk to current product managers at your company, and not just PMs, but also talk to any coworkers who work closely with the PMs. So this could be the product marketing manager, maybe engineers on their team, designers, researchers, etc. And finally, act. So not just understanding what product is like at your company, but also in that broader or more general sense. And you can do this by joining webinars and meetings like this one. So you're already taking that step through organizations like Product School or Women in Product, just so that you can gain that broader understanding. And you can also attend conferences like ProductCon or Women in Product. And there's a ton more out there. So you can kind of do your research and see what most interests you. So these are all great, but I'm somebody who likes to see specific examples. So for listen, what are some questions that you can ask PMs or these coworkers or colleagues when you have your coffee chats and your interviews? And here are just some examples to kind of get that conversation started or to start adding to your question bank. So things like, how did you get into product management? What's your relationship like with the other teams? So how do you work with engineering, design, marketing here? How do you balance user needs and business needs? What's the Scrum team structure like? What is your typical day like? What do you kind of wish was better, or what's difficult here at this existing company? What do you like most about product management here at this company? To what extent is leadership involved in determining the roadmap? So this is going to help you understand how much autonomy do you have as a PM? And then also, what is the product planning process like here? So definitely not an exhaustive list, but hopefully this can get you started. So next, now that you've set your destination and you are now determined to become a product manager, it's something that you want to do, you now need to map out your plan in transitioning into this role. So again, we are going to study, listen, and then join. For studying, and when you're creating your itinerary or creating your plan, the different things that you can do include reviewing compensation for product positions. So there's a lot of resources out there, and two sites that I referenced are Glassdoor and levels.fyi. You can also see if your company has an internal transfer program in place. And if they do, then typically they'll have kind of a explicit steps or a process that you can follow in order to initiate a transition into a new role. And you can also start putting together a summary of your own product-related accomplishments and skills. So again, no matter what your current role is or your current experiences are, you can start thinking about how you've leveraged product management skills in the past. So have you taken on a really complex project before? Have you really been able to demonstrate project management or program management? Have you thought strategically about next steps or the future of a project? You can start kind of thinking critically about these and start summarizing and documenting them. Next is listen. So this is a really great opportunity and time for you to start having these conversations with your manager, as well as the hiring manager or whoever's hiring on the product team. For your own manager, you can start discussing that transition plan and letting them know that this is something you want to do. And when talking with the hiring manager, you can start discussing where they see your skills fitting within that team. And finally, we have join. So here is where, if it's appropriate or applicable, you can start joining some of those product team meetings. Maybe they have a weekly team meeting, or there's roadmap planning coming up, or they have like bi-weekly Scrum meetings. You can ask to see if you can sit in and shadow so that you start experiencing some of these meetings and discussions. Again, let's dig into some specific examples. So here's an example outline when you bring up this conversation with your manager. I think first off, you want to make sure to introduce your interest in wanting to move into this new role. And I think it's really helpful here to also demonstrate that you've done your research. So this isn't something that you just kind of made up your mind in 5 seconds. You set your destination. So talk about the steps you took in doing that. Tell your manager about the research and how you've studied the product and the different coffee chats and interviews and how that's led you to your decision. I think it's also important now to start talking about a timeline for moving into a new role from your existing team. So for example, is there a large project that you're currently wrapping up? Are there any considerations that could impact starting sooner or later? And finally, make sure to leave with next steps. So maybe you want to set weekly check-ins to check up on the status of moving over to a new role. And this is just to make sure that you stay on track with whatever timeline that you set up. When talking to the hiring manager, here are some example questions that you can ask. So, first off, is there a role or position for a new PM to join the team? What's the level of this role? So is it an entry level or associate role? Are they looking to hire somebody who's more mid-level or senior? What's their process for onboarding a new member? What are different tools or resources that they would recommend to help get a new product manager up to speed? And then what makes a successful PM on their team? So again, just example questions that you can start using as you put together kind of your question bank or different ways that you want to structure these conversations. So now we're at the point of packing your bags. So let's say you've gone through and you've created your plan, you've had these conversations with both your own manager and the hiring manager, and you have a timeline in place. So I think, again, I want to reference that I feel like being at a current company and transitioning into this role is very beneficial. And you're in a unique position where you can actually begin to make an impact and learn the product and feature area before you even start. So when we say pack your bags, we're talking about how do you best prepare yourself for this new role? And how do you make sure that this transition is successful? So let's take a look again at study, listen, and join. On the study side, different things you can do could be reviewing relevant dashboards and analytics around the product so that you have a better understanding of product usage and how things work. You can also review the upcoming roadmap. So let's take a look at the upcoming quarter or the next few sprints or next few months and start identifying ways that you can start making an impact on those future projects or ideas. And you can also become a power user of the feature area that you'll be owning or the feature area that you'll be supporting. So this is where you can start downloading the mobile app, registering your account, doing the most common workflows that your users are already doing so that you can become that power user and get that knowledge. Next is listen. So you can ask to conduct or join any existing user research calls. So again, you can become more familiar with the user and get more comfortable talking to your users. And you can also set up one-on-ones with each member of the new team that you will be joining. And this is a really great way to start establishing relationships and getting to know the engineers before you're the PM of that team. And finally, join. So if your company offers it, I would definitely recommend taking advantage of any hack days or hack weeks and really owning that project from beginning to end. This is kind of a great opportunity to think about and be creative about different things that you might want to build in the future. And the last step of join could be asking to take on maybe a small feature or a small enhancement and doing the product work that's associated with it. So this could be everything from writing down the ticket, working with design to get kind of the UX ready for this ticket, and also following up with the metrics after it's released or goes out to users. And next, here are some specific questions that you can ask the engineering team or engineers before you join. So some of these questions include, how are the roles and responsibilities divided between engineering and product? Can you think of a PM that you worked with who you felt like they did a great job, and what did they do well, or what did they do that you liked? How closely do you want to be involved in maybe the design, the research, or GTM process? Can you walk through the Scrum ceremonies and processes that this team has? What's the release schedule like? How often are we releasing? Can you walk me through engineering's role in releases? What motivates you in your work? And how can I best support you as a product manager for this team? And from there, we're at the stage where, congrats, you've made the jump into product management. You've set your destination and determined that, yes, you do want to become a PM at your current company. You've created your itinerary by mapping out the plan in order to get there. You've packed your bags and made sure that you've set yourself up for success in your new role, and now you can make that jump. And I hope that this was helpful in structuring how you can transition into product management within your current company. And I'm happy to answer any questions that folks have. Thank you.